I love the company that I'm in. You guys are fantastic. My name's Gina Schock, and I play drums in the Go-Gos.
Hello, I'm Janet Weiss. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and I play in a band called Quasi, plus many other projects and bands in the last 35 years.
Hi, my name is Stella Mozgawa. I am a drummer. I play in a band called Warpaint, and I play with loads of other people who are very nice.
Curious how old you guys were when you started drumming, because I started really late when I was 22. I'm curious. I would imagine you both started quite early. That would be my guess.
13.
First drum kit on my 13th birthday, I believe. Beginning of high school, I guess. And then I started taking, my lessons were separate to my schooling, but there were 3 or 4 different bands in school. So I immediately went from, while I was learning how to play drums, I was immediately in the bands. Because I went to an all-girls school in Sydney, and there was a drummer who was the school drummer. And she played in the contemporary wind ensemble, the jazz ensemble, and the rock band. And she was just about to graduate. So she was in year 12. She was about to start university. And I was just coming in. So I was maybe in my second year of high school. And as soon as someone from the music department found out that I was learning drums, I immediately became the school drummer. So I was like in 3 bands, the first month that I was learning how to play drums. So I think those 2 things went hand in hand, and it was just, it was an amazing to just have music education at school at that level. So that was really inspiring.
I was such a little rebel. I hated school. I went to 12 years of Catholic school. The nuns were teaching us. That's a whole nother story. So anything to do with anything at the school, I just kind of didn't want to have much to do with it. Anyway, I started at 13. I started playing different instruments, and then I settled on the drums at the age of 13. My first concert was Led Zeppelin opening for The Who, which was like, I had an epiphany at the age of 11. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be up on the stage. I didn't know what instrument I wanted to play, but after like trying to take guitar lessons, playing bass and all, it was like, I can't do this. Let me try drums. The minute I sat down in the kit and put my headphones on and tried to play with whatever my favorite song was, it happened. I didn't have to think about it. It just happened. My body made the right moves at the right time, and I could feel it deep down. It was in my soul. I knew that's what I was supposed to be doing. At a young age, I knew it. I just fucking do it, And
then what? And then did you start a band? Did you?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, the thing is, there were no. Where I grew up in Baltimore, there a very blue collar neighborhood. There were no female drummers, none. So, I had the advantage there, and I guess, I was in bands. I didn't have a problem getting in bands because it was like, I think the novelty of me being a girl, all that, everybody loved that. And I was always the youngest in the band. Like, I remember being in a band with all these guys, and they would be, a big cover band that were kind of happening in the Baltimore area. And I would have to sneak in the back of the bar or the club because I was underage. Everybody was older than me. And so I played in bands that were usually all guys and then me. But then as I got older and things progressed, I'd say where things changed for me was when I got in, like, my first like real band was called Scratch and Sniff, and it was with 3 other guys, and they were great musicians. And I learned so much from George and Chuck and Danny. We'd rehearse forever. We would do 4 sets a night, and we'd do 2 sets of covers and 2 sets of originals. And I learned so much because they were really good musicians. I mean, we were doing stuff from like Aerosmith to Genesis. It was really, I mean, the pendulum was swinging back and forth wildly as far as the song choices. And so I was playing all sorts of different styles, and I feel like everything you've ever played in your life is now your style. It all comes together, and that's style. however you and your brain and your body interpreted all that shit, that's your style. I mean, I can't say like one person that I can say, you know, like the drummers that I looked up to when I was, you know, beginning to drum, but yeah, I just feel like I am the sum of all the parts of everything I've ever heard.
You feel like when you play with different people, you play differently. Like, are you bringing your style to your collaborations, or are you kind of changing how you do things depending on who you're with?
I think I try to be as kind of invisible or anonymous as possible in terms of my style, but there's just something that you can't control when you play. And I can't really hear it, but it's interesting that other people say that, oh, that's it sounds like you, or someone will say, oh, I knew it was you on that record or something.
You take the words out of my mouth. They're exactly like people say, you know, your style. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but exactly that. Exactly.
I feel like I'm being subtle. I feel like I'm just listening to what the artist wants and trying, you know, kind of even trying to, you know, mimic someone else in some very subtle way, on some mental way, like, oh, I really want to do kind of Tony Allen thing now, but then it just ends up kind of sounding like you can't escape yourself.
What I'm doing drum wise is always about the song. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like I'm just trying to I use this word a lot. I'm trying to elevate the song, you know what I mean? I'm trying to put in drums that are going to take it to the next level, where it's really going to cement it, and it's going to give it a driving force in it that's going to, whether it's subtle or whether it's like right in your face, but it's going to be something that's going to add what's needed to finish the song up, to take it to where everybody's going to go like, whoa, pretty cool. I love what you did.
Totally.
But I get it.
That's what good drummers do, I think.
I'm curious what your answer is to that question, Janet.
Yeah.
Well, I am not a trained, I am a self-taught, you know, I say self-taught, but really I just learned from all the drummers that I love, but really I learned more from music than just from drummers. I feel like the great bands have great drummers, period. Like to me, there's no debating that. Like, you could say, oh, this person's, you know, Ringo's not good for this reason. And I'm like, well, he's in the Beatles. Like, he's amazing. And you can't distinguish the good band from the good drummer. And so sometimes it's frustrating. Like, people don't understand that, you know, like they think that drums are, like secondary or something, whereas I feel like they're the most exciting instrument. I just want drums to be exciting always. I want it to be filled with energy and excitement. I never, you know, I don't play, like, I have played on people's records and I always want to bring my weird kind of exuberant kind of drumming to other people's work as well. And I feel like energy is something that music craves. So it's I just try to do that and like make the music explosive and make it exciting.
You can't help but be iconic, Janet.
People say like, oh, you know, you play.
Sorry.
Like, look at all those, like, you're playing so many fills. But to me, it's not. I'm not thinking of it like that. I'm thinking of, this part would be so great if it was just filled with energy, you know. And then as a contrast, like, to be able to step back from that. I just like big strokes, I guess. I like, you know, the Keith Moons and the John Bonhams in the world, just the big personalities, you know, the drummers that really sound like them. That's all I ever wanted, was really to sound like me. I'm not like trained. I don't have a lot of chops, or like, I'm just a hack, really.
No, how dare you?
I have a lot of enthusiasm for the instrument, and I just love it so much.
It's power, man. You sit behind there and you know what? We are in such control of everything. We're the foundation. We're the foundation of everything has to sit on top of us. So we gotta be we gotta have the power, and we gotta keep time perfectly. It's all about, and the feel. I mean, we
Feel.
set the pace. We gotta be good, or else everybody's gonna be like shit.
I feel
Yeah.
like feel is something that is so kind of esoteric, but it's so crucial. You could listen to a song and not know why you love it so much, but it makes you crazy. And most likely it's the feel is just
Mm-hmm.
so
Feel
addictive.
is what it's all about. It's so important to feel,
It really is. And I don't know, it is very powerful.
Mm.
I feel like there's a lot of listening going on with drummers. Like we have to listen to everyone. And when you play with different people, the people who aren't listening at all, it's like you're trying to like make something happen, and then some people are just not listening to what you're doing. You're like, come on, let's go.
Go on, do that thing.
But as drummers, we have to listen to everything. We have to be really tuned in, I think, to what's going on.
Do you think that comes from having to look at everyone on stage? Because
Probably.
a singer, I mean, anyone on stage in the front line can honestly probably ignore the drummer the entire show if they're mad at them. But we just have to stare at everyone's backs and butts.
They're paying
we
attention
can't-
more than you think. Stella, they're paying attention more than you think. They have
Maybe,
to.
but they don't have to acknowledge me, is the point. But I have to look at them the whole show. I can't like move, I don't have the Tommy Lee cage. I'm not like on a roller coaster of drums.
But you
I
have
can't
to
really
be
escape that world. So in a way, you're like constantly, aware of other people. I don't know.
I mean, have you guys, there are times when there's like a break in a song and I'm watching the guitar player's elbow, like they're not moving. And I'm like, what are they like? They're not tapping their feet. They're not moving their head, but they're strumming a guitar, and I can see their elbow moving. And I'm like trying to like, okay, I gotta come back in the right spot. I gotta pay attention. There's a lot of like,
little cues. You're looking for cues.
Yeah, like looking for cues. Like some people are very communicative and will give you the big cue, and really help. They're like band leaders. They'll help the band be better. But some people, not naming any names, some people are not communicative and are very introverted and are just into what they're doing.
Janet, they need to be following you. I mean, all I can tell you is that Penny, wild child.
Penny agrees.
Love that little old lady. Well, it's different. I mean, like in my band, in the Go-Gos, I'm clicking off every song, so they're watching me for cues. I'm never watching them for cues, never. Because I mean, I know exactly what I'm going to be doing all the time. Like, guitar players and singers, they can move things around, and we really have to stick to something that you've rehearsed over and over. So, because you can't change things up when you're drumming. You can put a fill in, but it better fit perfectly. I am one that likes to rehearse. So when everybody walks on that stage, they're comfortable. They know what they're going to do. And if anything changes, it's usually somebody making a fucking mistake because,
what about, like, do you guys ever improvise?
Oh, are you kidding me? Oh my God, that word in our band, that's not in our vocabulary. Are you kidding me?
But what about
a punk band, Janet? We are really a punk band, truly a punk band. Still to this day, I'm not kidding you.
And the songs are great. So
great. I've been lucky to be in a band with some great songwriters. I mean, I'm so grateful for everything, and I mean, like, I know my place, and I know, I mean, I feel like I'm a good drummer, but I'm certainly not a great drummer, and getting to play the kind of songs that are written in this band has only made me better and allowed me and made me understand the value of great songs and like what you can add to make them even better. And also I feel like I know as a drummer, my place in the song, what's going to fit. And it's so important, to know your boundaries.
Yeah, playing Madison Square Garden. I mean, we weren't headlining, but playing there was pretty spectacularly exciting, just because of the history of it. I think being a part of the history of like the drummers that you love, like playing in England and playing, this venue, Led Zeppelin used to play here, like tiny little shithole venue. this is where, you know, the Who played a show here, and you're on the same stage, you
I
know.
love that.
And
I love that.
I think that's very exciting, to feel like we're a part of that narrative and that history of like these larger than life people that I really, you know, like looked up to. And but also there are moments just not, you know, it doesn't revolve around the venue or the crowd, but it revolves some kind of thing you're going for with your bandmates, and it works out. And it's, you know, like I mean, I actually do play a lot of improvisation within songs. There's parts where we stretch out, and sometimes those moments can be just very life affirming, like you're actually on the same plane with another person, and that connection can be just really inspiring.
That's really special to hear. I mean, like with my band, I've never experienced that. It's like, you know, we have things set but I mean, you're playing, yeah, you're playing different music than myself, and you're playing with different musicians.
And I
Can
think
you
that
stretch it out more?
and it's like I play, you know, I play in a 2-piece band, so there's only 2 people. It's much easier to maneuver. It's like driving a sports car. You know, you can just, and
You have room. You have
I've
room.
been playing with this person for 30 years, so we can just look at each other and know
No, yeah,
like where to go. So it's not that it's total improvisation, because we've been together, like we've lived, you know, our life parallel. And I feel like that's as much a part of this kind of connection as the music. So like I know this person, I look over, I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna take this to this place right now. And sometimes it doesn't work, and it's annoying and frustrating. But when it does work, it's pretty glorious.
Warpaint definitely does a lot of improvising. In fact, we just leave whole sections of a set for that purpose. And I think part of that is that kind of our best songs came from improvising. So it's like, I think that's that if we didn't have that aspect of our relationship, and if we were kind of just playing the songs as they were, I think it would not damage our creativity, but it just wouldn't be as fun for us, I guess, because a lot of the songs that we've made came from just sitting in a room and playing together, as opposed to maybe like more conventional songwriting. But also, yeah, those, like you said, Janet, the moments where you kind of decide, okay, we're going like really off book here and we're just jamming, they can be some of the most horrific moments on stage, because you're just like, what am I doing? This sounds crazy and horrible, and there's people watching. People have paid money to watch this, you know, absolute disaster of a musical moment. And so you feel guilty, but then on the flip side of that, when it does, it's kind of it's worth the gamble, because when it works out, it is that, you know, you're kind of talking to somebody on stage, or you're talking to a group of people. And I think that would probably apply to songs that you've played a million times exactly the same way, or trying to get things, you know, as, I guess, like particular as possible, or as nuanced as possible. You can still, every night it's just going to be different, because everyone's in a different mood. Someone's hungover, someone didn't sleep well on the bus the night before, and someone had a breakup last week and they're just coming to terms with it. Whatever it is, you bring all of your baggage onto a stage, whether you like it or not, no matter how regimented you are as a band or a musician. And so those moments, whether you're explicitly improvising or you're just playing the same song you've played a million times together, those moments that are really good, where you just know, I feel so comfortable in my body playing music. I can tell that my bandmates are happy because they're smiling at me, or we're joking about something, or I've done something really silly and that's made them laugh. It's like, it's literally the same feeling as sitting at a dinner table with your favorite people, and everyone's just telling the best stories and the best jokes, and it's all landing, and the food's really good. You know, it's kind of that feeling where you're just like, I'm so alive right now, and I feel so connected to people that I'm playing with. And it's thrilling because it doesn't happen all the time. And in fact, it doesn't really happen that often. I think we all know those moments where we're on stage and we're kind of going through the motions. So the blissful moments feel so much sweeter, you know?
We all know those moments. They happen and they stick with you forever. There is a moment where you feel so connected and you sort of leave your body and it's just happening. I feel like I'm watching it all and I'm not even there. Like I'm above
Yeah.
somewhere just watching the whole thing
Mhm.
happen. I know that feeling. It's so magical. It is a magical thing that happens, you know, not all the time, but it happens
Mm.
more than I think we even realize, you know?
Mhm.
So how lucky are we to have that sort of thing?
I do.
It's
feel
the
Yeah.
best.
Totally get it. I
That's
totally get it, you know?
that's why we still do what we do, and
Oh
we'll
my
probably be
God, I
doing
love it. You can
it
run
till
as
we
you
die.
can try to run away from it, but you always get pulled back. But
Because it's
yeah,
really good.
There's nothing like it.
no kidding, no kidding.
There's just nothing that you can substitute in. You know, it's just, and I feel like the quest to have those moments is like so worthwhile, you know, because you're not just doing it by yourself, you're like also sharing it with an audience, which is like a whole nother level to
Right,
like
right.
connection, you know, and then, you know, you're like part of someone else's life and you matter to them, and the way that music affected you, it's affecting them, and you're, you know, it's just, it's, there's nothing like it. There's just nothing like it.
It's our connection with everyone, the universe, with the whole, you know what I mean? The whole works. It's all as it should be.
I just think as far as drums go, drums, I feel like it's a very sort of antiquated scene of like these older men who have their chops and their, you know, their like all like it seems like a club that like you're never gonna get in. You know, like when you're young and you look at a drum magazine and it's mostly men, you know, and it's mostly men talking about things that are very hard to understand when you're just starting. You know, and I just like to say there's no wrong way of doing this. Like, do not let anyone make you feel like you're doing it wrong, because I mean, you could just hit a floor tom and it could be the fucking coolest beat and it could be the perfect thing for the song, you know? I mean, look at Mo Tucker, like
Yeah.
the coolest band in the world, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like they were just like making up their own way of doing it. And I'm a big proponent of like trying to encourage girls to feel confident about what they're actually feeling, you know, and like and to play an instrument that and express themselves. Like don't try to be like anybody else. You know, maybe once you've played for a while and you can kind of start dabbling in some, you know, some different worlds and different feels, but I feel like to really get to know yourself is like the joy of playing the drums.
You guys, I have to say, there are so many, and even though you said that, there's so many girl or women drummers I'm seeing now that are knocking me out, man.
So many
You know,
more.
there are so many more, and it's so exciting to see. It's like they're coming out of the woodwork now, and I'm like, wow, it's about time. And it's like, I mean, all the time, I go around, and I put a book out, and a photo book about the go-gos called Made in Hollywood. So I'm doing these book signings, and I'm meeting so many young girls that are drummers, and it's like blowing me away at how many girl drummers there are these days. I'll meet them from kids that are like 9 years old to I met a woman who just started playing drums at the age of 50. It's like so exciting, and it brings me such joy because I feel like you can't hold it. We're not getting held back anymore. Women are out there doing what they want to do, and not feeling sort of hemmed in by any of the rules or regulations that were sort of set up, or the guidelines that were set up and to do things a certain way. And that is like the old, the dudes, like sort of the dudes rules. But I'm just happy to see things change the way they are. I mean, you guys, you've seen that girl Nandi, the girl
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Wow. How
Yeah.
about her? Is she a
She's
knockout or
crazy.
what?
We
Yeah.
love her.
just did
young
one.
girl. I watched her from the beginning, like doing her thing, and I was like, wow, this kid's she's gonna be something one day.
Love
And the
it.
Yeah,
Linda
she's a
Lindas.
superstar already. Yeah,
Oh,
the
love them
Lindas
too.
rule. Yeah.
Oh, I've watched.
Yeah.
The drummer was 8 years old when I met her.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's happening, and I love
Yeah.
it. I'm so excited about women in music these days because it's just more and more and more. And I've always been in my band. We're always like, "Where's the next Go-Gos?" We want, we'd like to see that happen in a really big way. To knock the world out. And I feel like the Linda Lindas they're going to happen. They're on their way, and they're so fucking lovely and fantastic.
Yeah.
And they're very serious about their playing their instruments. And they're, they're sisters and cousins. That's a beautiful scene right there, guys.
I would really love for this to. Oh, hello.
Hello, little buddy.
He's the sweetest kid on the block in the world, actually.
Oh, look at that.
Videos, come here.
What a
Oh
baby.
my God.
You can tell that's a baby right there. Look at that face.
God.